Welcome to Wellness Shots with Jewel. Today, my guest is Csilla Veress, and I am so excited to share her knowledge with you. Welcome, Csilla. How are you?
Fantastic. Thank you so much for having me on. I'm so excited to be here.
Tell us all about yourself, because many of our viewers might not know you, but you are doing such a great work at one of the best centers in the United States.
Absolutely. I'm a naturopathic doctor. I'm also a licensed acupuncturist. I work at True North Health Center in Santa Rosa, California. I'm one of the supervising doctors there for water-only fasting. I also see patients, outpatients, inpatients for acupuncture and cranial sacral as well. So a little bit about me. I actually was pre-med. Back in my 20s, I was going to be a doctor. I really, I always say this, as cliche as it sounds, I always wanted to change the world. I wanted to really create, just a beautiful kind of healthy lifestyle for people around me. And when I was in college, I had to work at a hospital, which was the best gift I could have ever gotten, because it just changed my course. I was seeing things that didn't really connect me into our modern healthcare system, and it was a little bit of a disappointment in some ways, and it allowed me to kind of steer my life a little bit differently. So I did marketing in Manhattan for a decade or so, and along the way, I started doing more holistic type of healing kind of modalities. I got into yoga, Pilates, I got into nutrition, and then when I decided marketing wasn't my thing anymore, I found naturopathic medicine, and so I've been doing it ever since. And I was fortunate enough to do my residency at True North, and then I just stayed on, and I've been there ever since. So at least 6 years now. So yeah.
Awesome. So when you came to True North, were you already whole food plant-based?
Well, you know what? What's interesting is that I was on and off whole food plant-based. When I was in medical school, I did do quite a bit of plants only. I did raw a little bit. In my 20s, when I was in Manhattan, I tried all different kinds of ways of eating, I will say, as I was learning nutrition. Like I tried, well, what does this look like? What does my body feel like here? But when I arrived at True North, that's what I really went deep into: 100% whole food, plant-based, salt, sugar, and oil-free. So
Are all people in True North, like all the staff, is whole food plant-based? Is it a requirement there?
it's not a requirement. It's something that is obviously, definitely, what can I say? It's encouraged. Let's put it that way. It's encouraged. And I think that once you get there, you start to recognize how absolutely amazing you feel on it. So it's something that you want to continue. And I just want to be totally authentic as well, as that, throughout the years, it's been for me, it's also been moving in and out of being 100% that, and just trying different things on it, for myself. My ex-husband wasn't, whole food plant-based. My current boyfriend is not 100% whole food plant-based. So there's always like these challenges along the way. And it's just really about, can you be 95% whole food plant-based, and what are the health challenges that you need to overcome? So and I'm always working with patients one-on-one to make sure that we can get them as far to the 100% as possible. So
And what are the challenges you see patients have when getting into this lifestyle?
Probably the two biggest challenges that I see, number one is themselves. and I always ask this question to my patients. I always say, what do you feel like is your obstacle to cure? What do you feel like is really standing in the way? And they'll always say themselves, and they say, it's based on, the pleasure trap, right? Salt, sugar, and oil. It really keeps us in this just constant need for more and more and more and more. And when we start to dull, right, our beautiful neuroadaptive like taste buds. And so when people arrive at True North and they go through, it actually can happen on a whole food plant-based SOS free. It can happen on water fasting. It can happen on juice. Your taste buds actually adapt, and you start to recognize the taste of food. Like, squash is actually really sweet, right? You get satisfied by a piece of fruit. You don't need that chocolate anymore. So that's number one. Number two is, of course, the environment that we're in. We're still, even though thankfully, I mean, you can walk even to Europe, you can go to Europe and find vegan, right, restaurants once, obviously COVID-19 is kind of moving through and we're able to go out there more. You can find more just resources, but even in this modern environment, it's still not accepted. It's still not accepted. People are absolutely shamed, right? They are, it is something that they feel like it's going to be hard for them to be themselves and to be in this lifestyle if they go back and they want to live this way. So those are some of the major challenges that I see with just change, because you're changing a lifestyle. It's easy, quote unquote, right? It's easier to take a pill than it is to say, I'm going to change my entire nutritional approach and my entire lifestyle. So
do you think it's only about food, or there are some other aspects that we can integrate into our lifestyle that will help us, that will help people be 100%?
Oh, I love that question. And I love that you asked it. I absolutely think it's more than food. Food is central. So the primary kind of principle for the practice is really nutrition-based medicine, really. And from there, you really do need all the other foundations of health. For me, the foundations of health are not only the whole food, plant-based, salt, sugar, and oil-free. It's, are you moving every day, right? Are you getting some sort of exercise, getting out into nature? Are you practicing stress relieving practices? Are you managing stress well? Are you getting 7 to 9 hours of sleep per night, right? Are you having a really rich social interaction, community? And then the sense of purpose, are you waking up loving your life? Do you have a really strong gratefulness, gratitude? Like, is that coming from an everyday kind of lifestyle? And I really do a lot of my practice, while I do see patients obviously for water fasting and in pretty dire chronic illnesses, much of my practice actually is already doing whole food, plant-based, SOS free, 95% of the time. They're still having so many health concerns. And I really, when we dial it in, it's the fact that they're not sleeping, right? It's the fact that they're so stressed, right? That they can't lose weight, or that they are having trouble, right, regulating their blood sugar levels. They're lonely, right? So they're drinking alcohol or something to that effect. So there's so many components. So yes, I totally believe that it's really a combination of diet and lifestyle. Yeah.
And if the food is 100%, what would be the next from all those meditations or sleep or exercise? What would be, in your opinion, the second most important component?
What I would say is that I believe that all of them interplay into each other. It's really difficult to take out just one of those and say that that is the core or that is the most important next step, because here's why. Not everybody, I mean, there's many people I talk to that they don't have stressful lives, but they're having trouble sleeping. So sleep would be the next thing for them. There are many people that I know that they consider themselves introverts, and so one of the things is for them to really engage themselves in community, or potentially some people have trouble with really having that really sense of purpose. Like, they don't know what they're living for right now. Or like you said, movement could be something for some people. Some people are sleeping great. They don't have stress, but they're not getting up and they have sedentary jobs. So I would say that it really interplays into each other. If you don't feel good, you're not going to be moving. If you're really stressed out, you might not be sleeping. If you're not sleeping, you're not going to have enough energy to, so it just kind of, it can be a double-edged sword, or it can start to spiral upward if you're having those key parts in your life. So.
Thank you. You mentioned that you're supervising water only fast. does that imply that you go into the room and you're checking patients? And if so, what exactly are you checking them for?
So yeah, so as a supervising physician at True North, what we do is when you arrive at True North, you're seen by one of our staff doctors. There's 4 of us right now that are doing supervision. And that is a full-on, not only collection of history, that is a physical exam, that's laboratory tests, that's all to ensure that you're safe to actually do a water-only fast. We also, if you're not safe to do a water-only fast, then we do juice cleansing. We also do just the feeding program as well. But once you're in the program, depending upon how many days, we actually have an amazing support staff. They see patients in the morning, they see patients at night. Things that we're checking for are temperature, blood pressure, pulse. We're checking to make sure that in weight, right? We're making sure that individuals are going through the natural progression of a water fast, and if any symptoms come up that might be side effects, quote unquote, of fasting. For instance, headaches. Maybe they have skin rashes, potentially nausea, vomiting, muscle aching, lower back, insomnia. These are just some of the things that can come up. If those do come up, we just have to really monitor them and make sure that they're a condition of the fast and not something that is needing, pretty much immediate medical attention. So.
Could you share some of the stories that you saw, the result and the benefits from either water-only fasting or the whole food plant-based lifestyle, like with the patients, something that like really was like, wow?
Yes, I'll share 2 stories just because these 2, just because they're fresh in my mind, because I just got emails from both these ladies. There was a patient that I had. She's pretty young. She's in her 30s. She had ulcerative colitis for a couple decades now. When I started working with her, she's local in the sense that when we started working, she was on prednisone. She was on multiple medications to control her flares. Every single time she came off of prednisone, she would go into a more advanced flare, basically. So she just could not get off prednisone because every time she did, she was just miserable. She had bloody mucus in her stool, abdominal pains, and it was destroying her quality of life. So we started working together. And I put her on a pretty good regimen of anti-inflammatories in order to kind of control the inflammation as she was coming off the prednisone, because one of the other key points is you can't water fast on medications. So if somebody is on multiple medications, either A, they need to be taken off by their physician, or they cannot water fast, and we need to figure out another plan for them to do. So anyway, long story short was that she absolutely did do a fast. She did a 3-week fast. She did fantastic in her fast. She finished out no flares. And then I just got an email from her. This was a 8-month post water fast. And she wrote to me and she said, Dr. Veress, this is the first time in like decades that I haven't had a flare being off of prednisone, off of all medications. She's on no medications. She is living life. She's doing phenomenally, and no pain, regular bowel movements. So that's beautiful. That's beautiful.
It is. I get getting teared up every time I hear the stories. So share more.
Well, and honestly, like it's a gift to work here. It really is. I think if you ever have the chance to even like come to True North, it's story after story. Like, I mean, there's multiple. I mean, there's almost every. Let's put it this way: every patient will walk away with some kind of improvement. That's not to say they walk away cured, right? Cured, but they will walk away feeling a sense of empowerment, sense of renewed health. For sure. It depends upon what they do afterwards, because health isn't a continuum, right? You're always moving towards optimal health or moving towards chronic illness. So another patient that I just got an email from, She is in her 60s, beautiful, beautiful soul. She she came to us on medications due to rheumatoid arthritis. So she had really, really achy, mostly upper body pain. So fingers, wrist, elbow, shoulder on one side as well. She was wearing braces on her hands to actually control movement, and she could not make a fist. So she was in so much pain, she could not make a fist at all. She went through, again, we usually for autoimmune cases, we do 3 weeks. So she as well did a little bit less than 3 weeks. And in the middle of it, I remember her saying to me, Dr. Veress, watch this. And she would just be able to just make fists and have absolutely no pain. She walked away from True North, 0 out of 10 pain. To be authentic, she did call. We did have a little bit of a flare post-fast. We did a little bit of a leaky gut protocol with her. We did some anti-inflammatories. We did some modifications to the diet. She was able to get back on to 0 out of 10 pain, hasn't been back on medications. And I just heard from her and she said, I'm still doing phenomenally. And her question was just about her doctor wants to put her on statins, but that was it. That was like, she was like, I'm still doing fabulously. I just have these, various questions that I want to ask you. So that's another really just beautiful example of how
impressive. Very impressive. It must be blessed. You must feel blessed working there and seeing success story after success story after success story.
I do. And here's the one thing I will say about that. It brings back hope, which I think is necessary,
So, and when the people are living True North, are there any people coming back because of they slacking, they start slacking? What would you say brings them back?
Absolutely. Well, 2 reasons. One is either A, they do fall off the wagon and they, too much stress in their lives, potentially. A lot of times people go through quite a bit of loss in their lives and then they start to go back into the pleasure trap. Or we have a lot of patients and I love it now. I mean, when I first started, we didn't have as many preventative patients, or people that wanted to prevent chronic illness. Now we're seeing so many more people that are coming year after year and they're just doing just a preventative cleanse. So it's just really just to optimize their health. They are beautifully healthy. They just really want to make sure that they continue to be as healthy as possible. And we have such an amazing educational program at the center as well that we are able to, sometimes people will say, I knew this piece, but then I heard it this way and now I understand this aspect of it. So it's just, sometimes people just get multiple layers of the education. So yeah.
Awesome. I had one question and it just slipped my mind. But if there is anything, we only have like a couple of minutes for this wellness shot. If there's anything you want to share, the message that you want to share with our viewers, this is a good time.
Yeah, I think just to build upon what I said before is that I think if you do have any viewers right now that are in a place where they've maybe tried many different kind of therapies or different types of modalities out there, and also potentially are struggling even in the whole food plant-based realm, the power behind being in a more of I always say it's like a safe bubble, it's like such a supportive environment, is absolutely phenomenal. I mean, people will always come up and say, I didn't realize what an impact it would be to be at the center, to be surrounded by other people that have the same vision, that have the same like-mindedness, the fact that you get such beautiful education, you get this amazing, the staff at True North is truly probably the most caring and amazing humans on the face of this earth, really. And so you're just kind of engrossed in love. So what I will say is just that, most people walk away with a renewed sense of hope for anything, for any kind of chronic illness, even when they've tried everything or they feel like they've tried everything. So that's my
awesome. I do remember the question I wanted to ask. You mentioned that some people come back for when they're healthy just to do a small fast to is a preventative measurement. So what would you be recommending? Once a year, for how long? Twice a year, once every few years? What are your recommendations if the person is healthy and want to continue to be healthy and do it for preventative measurements?
I would say that you don't really need to do more than once a year. And usually if somebody is really just healthy and they want to just keep being optimally healthy, I would say 5 to 7 days once a year would be a really great just reset to the body, a reboot to the body, allowing a person to get deeper into autophagy. You get all the beautiful benefits of ketosis, all of that in a healthy way. And then there's always intermittent fasting, which is super powerful as well. So somebody can do that on a daily basis. So that's what I would recommend.
Okay. Awesome. Great. So 5, 7 days, once a year. And also to clear your taste buds, because I think in a year, no matter, there are always could be some slips and you go back into a pleasure trap.
For sure.
Okay, great. Thank you so much for this wellness shot. It was a pleasure to have you. And I have a wonderful day. I hope everyone is staying healthy through this pandemic. I think we're kind of getting out of it. So thank you again for watching us. And thank you, Csilla.
Thank you. It was fabulous. Thank you for having me on.